Today, we're continuing our conversation on the 7 keys to mastering your energy, and we're focusing on amusement and certainty.
Welcome to Mystic Revolution, and this is our new season. It's called Mastering Our Energy.
Wendy's already really amused. Before we get there, let's take a moment and do a quick little meditation to get centered and connected. So go ahead and close your eyes and take a nice deep breath in and exhale out. And let's go ahead and drop into your heart space and be with your heart. And allow a beautiful ball of light to illuminate there. And then let yourself connect your own heart all the way down to the heart of the earth. A grounding cord, if you will. And you can imagine, tune into the idea of a pillar of light. Or maybe a tree root, or maybe some other kind of thing that makes you feel connected. And really allow yourself to tune into an anchoring. Your heart connected to the heart of the earth. And just be with that feeling for a moment. And now let's go ahead and go upward. Let's let our own heart illuminate, and let's put a pillar of energy, a line of energy, a cord up to the heart of the sky, or the God of our heart. And if it helps, you can let the God of your heart, or the heart of the universe, send its own energy down to you, down through the top of your head, into your heart. It doesn't matter which way or which direction you go, but let yourself feel that alignment. Your own heart held by the heart of the earth and the heart of the sky. And let's take a nice deep breath in and out. And open our eyes to wonderful Wendy talking about amusement. Which I love because it's so important in this, but it's not something that a lot of spiritual people talk a lot about.
Oh, I know, Susana. Let's just start there.
Right?
Most religions, spiritual practices, and other things are very serious.
Yes.
Very serious. Must be serious. And
you're not doing it right. Right?
It's all very perfect picture-y.
Perfect. Yep.
But if we're so fortunate these days in our highly connected world to have access to some beautiful masters, and who really embodies this for me so lovely. I don't have an English sentence. Does a lovely job of embodying this is the Dalai Lama. That man, yes, he has moments, bad things happen, he cries. Things go awry, when he thinks he sees. But his default to me seems to be amusement. You could see it in his body, hear it in his voice, see it shining from his eyes. He's playing.
Yeah. A lot of giggling I've seen him do, right? Which does not mean he takes his position and his role lightly.
I mean, really, the man is under more stress and loss than I'd ever want to conceive of.
Yeah.
And he is neutral.
Yes.
And he is usually neutral, and he's so often amused. And I find it's like a beautiful bell ringing for our world, and he really makes a difference in that. And so can we. We can learn to take things more lightly and
Yeah.
um, and be more open to play and more open to um, not getting hooked by our own perfect pictures or how it should be. And this has us, one thing is, all this is for mystics, and part of that is healing, and a lot of us are healers. And if we're going to change, if we're going to be in the process of healing, amusement is key.
Yeah.
Amusement is an invitation to change. Amusement makes us like children.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
become malleable, we become resilient, we become, when I'm in amusement, somebody might say an offhand remark that is like, ow, or, oh God, they think I suck or whatever. And I'm just like rolling in the fun, it's just like, what do I care?
Right.
Like I'm having a good time. But if I'm like not in amusement and I'm not neutral, it's like, ow, oh, eh, shame or blame or like fighting back. Amusement keeps me out of a lot of trouble.
Yeah, I mean, me too. And it definitely, I mean, it just automatically gives you a different perspective. And like we've talked about, right? Like any one thing that happens, there are a myriad of perspectives
Yes.
um, from all the different people looking at it, but we ourselves can have different perspectives. And amusement doesn't mean that you can't see the seriousness of something. It doesn't mean that you're like brushing off something or you're like making a joke out of it to ignore it or push it away.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
it's an energetic space and practice. And so can you talk about how you do it? How do you get there? How do you call it in?
Well, all of these things that we're talking about in this section, these 7 keys to mastery within,
Yeah.
they're all ridiculously efficacious, interdependent,
Yes.
fundamental intentions, vibrations, energies, blessings,
Yeah.
and practices.
Yeah.
We can choose to let the blessing in from heaven and earth, and we can choose to. I was called to teach, I was excited to teach, but oh my gosh, I was terrified. I was scared of people. I'm a naturally shy. It was not an obvious fit for me. And so what I would do is I would really, this neutrality and less we talked about last time, and amusement are the two core, they're like for me, they're the two most important columns holding up everything that we do in our
Mm.
spiritual practice.
Mhm.
And I would like develop the neutrality, and then I would turn the music all the way up. I turn the dial, up to like 9 of 10, and be having a hilarious time. And then the people would come and we'd play and we'd laugh and like I could stand it because it was hard for me. It was really, really hard for me.
Mm.
Um, and some students were like, God, like you're laughing too much or whatever. This is not supposed to be fun. And that's back to these pictures of religious pictures that it's supposed to be not hilarious. Who says? I mean, this life is crazy. Um, and yes, there are challenges. And yes, there's death and war and illness and brokenness. I'm familiar. You guys all know it. You know it. Um, who are we going to be in the face of that? That's the question.
Right.
Am I going to be under it, under the wheel of all of that? Or am I going to be having a good time while um, addressing these issues in our life?
Yeah.
Because what I found is that until I did this practice, I was just always under the wheel. I was always depressed or melancholy. Every now and then something else, but rarely. Then I started doing this practice and like I'm neutral and I'm amused very quickly, accessing these things. And I could get into movement and action and start to make the difference I'm here for.
Yeah.
And yeah, I know there's death and there's illness and there's war and there's horrible things happening in the world. All right, well, let's free up the energy and play our way, in the sandbox to make a better world.
Mhm. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
there are all those things, and, you know, there's ridiculous puppies, and there's, hilarious friends, and there's, you know, fart jokes or whatever. Like, there's all sorts of things, you know? I think of, like, the things that little kids find absolutely hilarious that in and of themselves really aren't funny, but they just, like,
Oh gosh.
they're right?
Yes.
Um, we can tune into that energy, and, I mean, again, back to what you said, I you can choose to do you can choose it. You
Yeah.
can choose it while tending to rolling with navigating all of this other stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And all these things, we are mystics. We're mystics. And we, more than anyone on the physical senses and all the information and the soul senses, are um, opening to all kinds of information and energy. And that's why we need amusement.
Yes.
Because if I go and see what's really going on and don't have amusement, I will be crushed under it. I
Yeah.
can't handle it.
No.
So to finish with, so I said I would turn up the amusement way high when I was a beginning teacher a long time ago.
Mhm.
And I worked with amusement a lot on purpose. And then eventually, I mean, it's just so funny. Like, I like tell jokes and laugh and play naturally now. It wasn't who I was. I
Oh.
wasn't a person, right? Like
Oh
you
my
know me
God.
as someone.
No, and that's one of the reasons I think we connected. We had very much had that in common. Like moving from a place of seriousness. I mean, my grandma used to say she'd do this kind of funny thing to try and get me to laugh, like about how serious I was, you know. I mean, and let's be honest, there were reasons for it,
Yeah.
but right now we don't have to live in that.
Nope.
No, I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So we can bask in joy,
yeah,
and we can be in the light energy of amusement instead of the heaviness. And that lightness, actually, the vibration of amusement and vibrations like it, I have found as a healer, I wasn't taught this, but over and over, I mean, it just happens. I see energies like amusement and bring them in on purpose to actually thin out, like paint thinner, the dark, heavy
yeah.
stuff that is in me and others, and then it can and move away. It's powerful energy.
It's powerful energy. Absolutely. Absolutely. Wow. Well, I know we could talk about amusement for a really long time. We do have to take a quick break. And so we'll come back and we'll talk a little bit more about amusement, but we're going to dive into certainty as well. So
Thank you, We Are Historically, for your conscious human apparel. Shop online at wearehistorically.com.
hey everyone, just a friendly reminder that on the first Tuesday of every month, we hold a Mystic Revolution meditation, and you're invited. Just go to our website and you'll find the link. We look forward to seeing you then.
Raise your vibration and energize your life with specialized Fibonacci tuning forks that deepen meditations and empower self-healing. Get your vibrational sound tools for personal enhancement at energybodytuners.com.
All right, well, welcome back. And we've been having an amusing talk about amusement energy. And Wendy, what else do you want to say about that?
We can enjoy our lives. We can walk in this world as it is and dance with the divine and have a good time. And if we're not having a good time, we can choose to change that. And one of the little fun things in teaching that one of my teacher friends used to say, it's like, oh, so you can't enjoy that? Well, can you enjoy not enjoying that? Like, okay, you can't enjoy not enjoying it. Can you enjoy not enjoying and not enjoying? Right. There comes a point where it's like, am I willing to stop making everything so wrong? I know, like, I'm in pain, or I'm in illness, or I'm in whatever I'm in. Can I stop judging it so much? Be neutral and just start to enjoy and allow change, because the amusement allows a lot of malleability.
Yeah. Amusement allows malleability. Absolutely. All right. So we talked about neutrality, and neutrality obviously feeds amusement, and neutrality and amusement also feed certainty. Can you we've talked a little bit about certainty in previous episodes, but again, this is one of those things that's really important in the realm of mysticism. And
Mhm.
so I don't know, when you start talking about certainty to people, what do you say? How do you talk about it? How do you introduce it?
I I have to start with it. It's not intellectual certainty. I have to start with it's not a physical thing.
Yeah.
None of these things are physical things. You know, they have physical manifestations. We laugh, but like an amusement, I could be totally amused, and all you'd know is that there's sparkle in my eye, right? If I'm at a funeral, I'm not going to be rolling around the floor guffawing, right? Like it's an energy. It's an internal soul being.
Yes.
And that's a certainty. It's not, and I find people are so hungry for certainty that they'll follow almost anyone who seems to have it. And so it's just important to say it's not about an intellectual certainty or the, I, just picking stuff up and saying it in a way that people believe. It's not that.
Yeah.
Important to say that. I think um this is a spiritual, like all of it, it's a spiritual blessing of certainty. And like all of these, it's the blessing and the practice, and that's what we do. So should I just go right into it?
Yeah.
You have
Go
anything to
ahead.
say?
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
Oh, I do, but
um
I want to hear you. Go ahead.
ah I'm like, I felt like you had something to say. So it's bottom line, it's owning the reality of what we perceive. And that could be physical. I'm really certain that I see rain on my windshield, you know? And I have obviously had an itch on my head, which I itched, right? Like I can be certain about my external stuff too, because we get invalidated about that too. We're
Oh,
told,
yeah.
oh, no, you didn't with your physical eyes. And then we become like, it goes into crazy land. Can't even believe my own eyes. And so we're taking that, more importantly, in our own soul and noticing what we sense, the spiritual energies we notice, the body information that we notice. And we're saying, this is real. And yes, we've talked about this before, we apply discernment and such to make it more clear. Like at the
Yeah.
optician, where they're trying to find the right lens. It's like, is
Yeah.
this better? This better? This, like, but still, when it really works, it's like, yes, I see, it's clear, and I believe it. I see a tree in front of me.
Yeah.
So applying that to every level of experience is what certainty is. And I can say more, but I want to give you a chance to say something.
Well, it's that I like what you were saying, right? It's allowing yourself to validate what you are experiencing. I have an itch on my neck. Okay, well, I get to scratch it. That's just a given, right? Like we get to do that.
Yeah.
But so often, right, we'll share an experience and it could be something like this happened to me and people will invalidate it, or either because it seems so awful it couldn't have happened, or it's so impossible.
Yes.
How could that miracle have actually happened to you?
Yes. It happens all the
Right?
time.
Right? It happens all the time. And then we start to question ourselves. And then we start to question like our intuition, or we never get the chance for our intuition to fully develop because it's always been, um, I'm just going to say demonized, right? Your inner
What?
knowingness has been
Mhm.
demonized. And so we don't know, we are not taught how to find that core of strength in ourself, that inner knowingness that allows us to stand for what we want to stand for, or allows us to speak our truth, or allows us to enjoy the fullness of our lives and get into amusement, right? Like all of that. And so when you can allow yourself, and for me, when I first started doing that, it was kind of a little bit of a game. Well, like, what if this were true?
Yeah, I had to do that too.
Right? Okay, let me just try on this idea that maybe my gut is on. I can always change my mind, right?
Yeah.
What would it feel like if I were making this decision and I were certain about it, right? And this gets into the idea of play, which you talk so much about, which I love because it's lighter and it is amusing, and we can play with these things. We can experiment with these things. And
Yeah.
as we do it, our the core of certainty, which is innate in all of us, it really, really is,
Yes.
it reveals itself.
Yes. 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 It's a really good picture.
And we're supposed to be using it. We're actually supposed to be using it in conjunction with the outside experiments that give scientific proof. We're supposed to be using it, right? And we don't have to limit each other. There's nothing wrong or bad about really having a killer, like an instinct that is like spot on, you know?
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've just been talking a lot. Please go ahead.
No, no, I mean, it's really great. And we can, the, the marrying of the physical senses and the spiritual senses and actually being willing to believe them is extraordinarily powerful.
Yeah.
And while we were talking, for some reason, I remembered a friend of mine, uh, talks about this tracking school, and I looked it up, and it's like they do similar things. It's like they marry the physical things. Oh, the bent leaf, or I don't know, how you track animals, looking for where they were, and they marry that with, openings to some soul senses, and like it goes through the roof of their capacity to
Yes.
actually notice where the animal went.
Yeah.
And this is where we come from. We came from hunter-gatherers. I mean, we needed this. We needed to be able to know what the animals were doing, both to um, make sure that our people were safe, to be able to hunt and eat, to be able to make sure we're not being hunted.
Yeah.
We needed to know.
We
And
needed to
so
know.
this is stuff that has been honed, and a lot is lost, but it's been honed through time. Our rationality has overplayed sometimes and said, no, no, that's crazy. The demon haunted world. Oh, no, no. Let's just believe the rational. Love the rational, but it's not the only information from my perspective.
Yeah, it's not the only information from my perspective either. And, we talk about our history and sort of where we come from, the hunter and gatherer, and like we can extrapolate that and look at the people in the world that I think like artists and innovators understand innately this marrying of the physical and
Yes.
the mystic, if you will. I'm not sure all these people would call it
Yeah. And I
mysticism,
don't care.
intuition, gut feeling, like muse,
Yes.
right? The
Mhm.
muse. Uh, every great, I'm just going to go out on a limb and say every great scientific invention, discovery started with someone having some drive, some certainty that this particular thing or this particular
Mm.
hidden place was out there, and let's see what we can find.
Cool.
It all begins with that idea and then like a knowingness that yeah, that's a thing, or that's my path. I'm certain that
Yes.
that's my path to uncover or discover or whatever, pioneer that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. So I know that our time is ticking. So I'm going to say a few things. Is that okay? Things.
No, not at all. Yes, of
Okay, then
course.
I'll just sit here and smile.
I'm sorry if I'm
Um,
talking too much. Please go ahead.
no, it's all good. Okay. So, so the certainty is about, can we believe our deepest self? Can we be centered in our own spiritual information, our own soul information, our own abilities and connection with spirit,
Yeah,
no matter what the religious thoughts, the scientific conceptions of people around us?
yes,
And we don't have to tell anyone, but can we nurture that little flame and
yeah,
let it grow?
yeah,
Um, and that allows our soul senses to comfortably bloom. And, we nurture one or two, maybe, you said deep knowingness. We might have tremendous knowingness, but not always be able to see very clearly spiritually. But like, as the certainty comes in, it encourages us to open the little window blinds and be able to see more. It's part of what helps. Also, what helps in training others or our own soul senses is to develop the self-certainty. Wow, I thought that was what it was, and it was. Seemed like what it was, oh, that really worked. Oh, that one, I was off. Why was I off? Oh, because I was reading this, not that. Okay. And also reading with other people, you know,
yeah,
um, is so validating, even if
yeah,
it's not always the same. Like you're on this looking at the same, you're feeling the same elephant, even though if you're feeling the side and I'm feeling the leg, it's like, wow, we figured out there's an elephant. So it really grows the certainty. Um, and then we can really enjoy and profit from it, as you were talking about, whether it's science or art or our life,
yeah,
the greatest science and art, our life, that we can have our own unique body and spirit perceptions,
yes,
and regardless of those perceptions or and the expectations of others, beliefs, demands of others, we can have our own. And again, we can say it or not say it, and I don't care about that. What I care is, are we nurturing the voice within and
yeah.
becoming more serene?
Great.
So these are some of the middle 7 keys of mastery within. And I believe that they're really powerful blessings to stand on in our soul. And I believe you and I, we work with people every day to develop the muscle of these, to
Yeah,
develop, to be able to do these things. It totally changes people's lives and work and spiritual experience, etc.
absolutely.
Okay.
Well, with that, it looks like we are at the end of this segment. So, thank you so much for being here with us. And we'll just do a quick little close here before we let you go. And just go ahead and let yourself close your eyes and be with the ideas of amusement and of certainty. And what if those were things that we could all be actively playing in, actively choosing? Practices that help us navigate, right? We all know we're living in a topsy-turvy, chaotic world. But these are energies, mindsets, vibrations, practices that we can use to help navigate. And in fact, they help us be even more true to ourself and to our soul. And so let that beautiful ball of light in your core illuminate. And when you feel ready, you can open your eyes. All right. We look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you.
And that concludes this portion of Mystic Revolution. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to get notified of new content. Don't forget to like and share. Join the Mystic Revolution. Click on the link in the description to get more information or visit themysticrevolution.com. Another creative art production by Retro Earth Studio.
This series is really for you if you have mystic sensibilities or interests, or if you've been practicing forever. This is a place for all of us to join together